This week, the university's future is looking more hopeful with some major updates to the legislature's budgetary debate. Students attended a Turning Point USA event with conservative activist Josh Haynes, and Greek Week brought campus fraternities and sororities together. Hello, welcome back to WyoWire, bringing the latest statewide and campus news. I'm Dylan Pierce.
And I'm Carolina Bolter. The looming $40 million cut to the University of Wyoming's block grant has been restored after budget negotiations.
Our Eric Vigil spoke with UW administrative staff and student organizations about how their organizing efforts are going and their thoughts on this recent development.
On Friday, March 6th, Governor Mark Gordon signed off on the biennial Wyoming budget. This marks a huge win for UW as the budget does not include any of the controversial cuts made to the state's sole university, meaning that the university's block grant has been fully restored and funding has been guaranteed for Wyoming public media and other university programs. WyoWire reached out to UW's president's office for a statement regarding this update. And in President Seidel's statement, he said he was pleased to see UW's budget restored and that he thanks the entire UW community for their support, especially students. One student organization that Seidel might be thanking is ASUWyo, who launched an organizing campaign to advocate the legislature to restore UW's budget.
Through sustained advocacy and outreach, both mobilizing the student body and internally taking action to ask the legislators to both listen to student voices and consider, the value that the university brings to the state. It feels really good, and it's exciting to see this kind of heading towards the right direction as we reach the finish line.
That was the ASU Director of External Public Affairs and one of the students who actually talked to legislatures in the Wyoming Capitol.
80% of people we sent notes to would come out and speak with us briefly so that we kind of have an opportunity to make our case to them and ask them to support the university. I've probably talked to 10 or 20 legislators over the course of the session over in Cheyenne.
The budget wasn't the only victory for ASUW. The student government also advocated for increased Hathaway scholarships for Wyoming students and for funding the UW Lasso internship program that hopes to increase internship opportunities for UW students.
I spoke to half a dozen House reps and half a dozen senators today, and nearly every single one of them told us that they appreciated us bringing student engagement and that the decisive factor really was students speaking up, not just current students at the university, but alums from around the state being told what was going on, brought on board, communicated with effectively, and asked to participate in the civic process. So,
I'm Eric Vigil with WyoWire, and back to the studio.
March 2nd marked the start of the annual Greek Week, aiming to strengthen not only the Greek life connections, but the Laramie community as a whole. Of the daily events that Greek Week held, one of them was a trivia game night, where sororities and fraternities competed in a family feud style competition, and another was a volleyball competition. These games aren't just for fun, but Owen Grace, the FSL intern who organized this year's events, explained that it's meant to bring these groups together for a good cause.
It's a week long of competition activities, raising money for charity, donating canned food for charity. We don't spend a whole lot of time together, especially for freshmen. This is the first time they're spending a lot of time exclusively around other fraternities, sororities. They're getting to know them, partner with them. The winner of Greek Week, all the money that's been raised will go to the philanthropy of their choice.
At the time of this publication, Sigma Alpha Epsilon and Alpha Phi are in first place.
Christian conservative activist Josh Haynes held a Prove Me Wrong event with Turning Point USA. Students were encouraged to either attempt to challenge Haynes' beliefs or watch the event. There was increased police presence at the event following the passing of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. WyoWire spoke with UW Turning Point leadership and students about their thoughts of the event.
It means a lot to us. We had Charlie last April. He was really close with our chapter. I was close with him. He gave me awards and stuff. So it's just good to make discourse and do what he wanted to do, was just ask questions and talk about important issues of our day.
I feel like he lets people speak their ideas. I don't think anyone is shut down necessarily with their questions, and I think he answers them pretty well.
I think it's just a more learning opportunity or a way to share your voice or your thoughts.
It becomes kind of a bit of an echo chamber because really there's not many dissenting opinions here. Like me and some of my fellow dissenters who came up and wanted to speak with him, while I'm happy we had the opportunity to, it's hard to call it really all that productive as means of free speech when everybody else is in support of what he's saying and you're kind of us v them framed in this way.
I told my mom to check him out, see what he has, because I agree with a lot of what he has to say, but I know my mom wouldn't. So I told her to get some questions. So if I was my mom who fully believed the questions that she was asking or what she wanted to hear, then maybe I could have rebutted better. But for the most part, I agree with him. So.
Now to Carolina for next week's weather.
Hey Laramie, let's get ready for another chilly week with your weekly weather forecast. We're looking at a pretty typical mid-March week here in Laramie. Daytime highs are mostly expected to sit in the low to mid-40s, with a few afternoons possibly pushing closer to the upper 40s if we get more sunshine. We'll likely see a mix of sun and clouds, and of course, some Wyoming wind at times that could make it feel 5 to 10 degrees colder than the thermometer says. Heading into next weekend, highs should remain in the 40s, with nighttime lows still hovering around 20 degrees. So overall, it's consistent early spring weather. Keep the layers handy, especially in the mornings, and have a great week. Now to more sports with Morgan Moore.
Hello everyone and happy Friday. My name is Morgan Moore and it is time for more sports with Morgan Moore. I know you've heard me talk about intramural sports and how amazing they are and blah blah blah, but I think it's time we hear from an actual student here at UW who plays competitive women's basketball.
I think intramurals are great because it gives students the opportunity to meet new people and be active doing it. You just get asked by like one of your friends, someone you know, to come play intramurals, and that kind of opens up a lot of new friendships that you wouldn't have made if you didn't come out.
Thank you, Grayson. And now let's hop right into some Wyoming basketball. For our men's team, they're currently 8-11 after playing Nevada on Tuesday. It was such a good game. Y'all should have been there. As for women's, they are now 7-13 after playing GCU this Tuesday, and that game was also very, very close. And a special thanks to all of our seniors for beating some Cowboys. And now it's time for WyoWire's top 3 plays of the week. At our number 3 spot, we have Sandvik, who cuts down low and hits a fadeaway jumper for 2. Great play, Sandvik. In our number 2 spot, we have Leland Walker, who absolutely denies this shot off of a fast break. Way to hustle, Leland. Good work. At our number 1 spot, we have a fast break down the court to Dennis, who scores for an absolute slam dunk. Wow, what a crazy, crazy play. All right, and that'll be it for this week's top 3 plays.
And that's a wrap.
Keep your friends up to date on all things UW by liking and sharing this post.
Don't forget to give a follow if you haven't already, because next week we'll have more news you wouldn't want to miss. And remember,
Go Pokes!